Hey everyone, it's Zach Beck. If you're like most employees, one of the most important decisions that will impact your financial future has already been made for you. Back in 2006, Congress passed the Pension Protection Act, and it was a watershed moment for individuals who were enrolled in a 401k plan. What this Pension Protection Act did is to actually change the way in which people enroll in 401k plans. Instead of having to opt into a 401k, employees were automatically enrolled instead. Now, this was a great moment for many people because many employees did not take advantage of their 401k plans that their employers offered. However, one of the downsides of this is that automatic enrollment also meant that people had their automatic savings rate set, and generally speaking, that savings rate is lower than what is actually required for you or myself to reach financial independence and to be able to actually retire in the future. So what I want to do in this video is share what amount you and I should be saving and investing into our retirement, depending upon what stage of life we are in right now as it pertains to our overall income. So let's take our time, dive into the details, and jump into it right now. So you might be asking yourself, what is the appropriate amount to save and how much money should you be deferring into your retirement plan? There is general consensus amongst most individuals in the retirement community and in the financial community that say that you should be going somewhere around a 15% target rate when it comes to investing into your retirement account. Now, there are variations and different circumstances associated with that, but most individuals generally recommend targeting a 15% savings rate. When it comes to that 15% savings rate, that is taking into consideration other variables and factors. For instance, that's considering that you're actually receiving Social Security and you've reached the retirement age of 65. Now, you might be watching this video right now, you might be in your teens, your 20s, or 30s and thinking, my gosh, how am I gonna work until that time? So what I wanna do right now is not just look only at what's going to happen long term, but what you're doing right now that's going to actually allow you to achieve retirement so that way you're not gonna be destitute when that time comes. On that note, if you are in your 20s or even your early 30s, you do have the benefit of time that's working to your advantage because compound interest will actually make a huge contributing factor into allowing you to grow your nest egg over time. So if you're at this stage right now, still going for somewhere between a 15% and a 20% savings rate is really ideal because you will be positioning yourself much more strongly in the future. If hitting a 15% or 20% savings rate seems unrealistic relative to your cost of living and maybe your income that you're generating right now, you could start at a smaller rate, say 10%, and then make increments gradually, maybe every few months of 1%. So over time, you would actually reach that 15% threshold or that 20% threshold. In the same way, you could go back even further, maybe down to a 5% savings rate, and then expedite that process by which you actually increase that 1% maybe once every other month. So you can get accustomed to having less money that you actually have after you've been paid, but that money is being deferred into your retirement plan. And that can be difficult to do, but generally speaking, it's going to pay substantial dividends in realistic terms down the road. You might be asking yourself, what about the employer match? And that is a great point because most individuals who have retirement accounts through a 401k through your employer will match some amount into your retirement account. Now, this is basically free money, and I really want to emphasize how important it is that you or I can get that dollar for dollar match when it comes to receiving that from our employer. It is basically free money, and that's the best return you possibly could receive with very passive approach to your investing. So if you at least make sure that you're hitting your employer match, that's going to position yourself very strongly so that way over time you will achieve your goals. So let's put this in realistic terms. Let's say that your employer matches up to 5%. Then you want to invest at least 15% so that way you're hitting that 20% total. Always factor the amount that your employer is contributing into your plan as part of your overall savings rate because once again, that is free money. Now, I want to be really clear, there isn't necessarily a one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to this because everyone's circumstances are different. You might be having additional income from a side hustle. You might have a Roth IRA that you've opened. You might have a pension plan through your employer. There's all sorts of variables that you want to take into consideration. But if a 401k plan is something that you are automatically enrolled in, it's something you currently have, you really want to understand it and make sure that you're not taking such a passive approach that right now you're below the savings rate that you need in order to achieve your financial goals. So when you take that into consideration, you really want to look at the maximum amount you or I can contribute into our 401k. And as of the most recent laws imposed by the IRS, the maximum amount you or I can contribute into a 401k is $19,500 per year. So if you're able to reach that amount, that would be very significant, because once again, that's going to expedite the process by which you can achieve retirement. So if you're considering how much of a percentage of your income you can generate by putting into or deferring into that account, you really want to take your time and do the math yourself. Let's say if you make 75 grand a year, if you're able to contribute $19,500 annually into your 401k, that's a quarter of your salary on an annual basis. So that seems like it's a lot, but you know what? If you or I grow accustomed to actually not allowing lifestyle inflation to make a contributing factor into our lives, then we're actually not going to miss that money at all. That's why I really think it's so important for you and myself to grow accustomed to living below our means, spending less money, cutting expenses, not having debt, not having unnecessary bills piling up, and not allowing lifestyle inflation to creep up in our overall lives. Because if you or I actually maintain a relatively fiscally conservative approach when it comes to managing our personal finances, then we can actually set aside that money, put it into our other accounts like our 401k, and that's going to grow over time, and you're going to have a substantial nest egg when you actually reach that moment in your life. And bear in mind that you're going to be able to touch that money when you reach the age of 59 and a half years old, and that is the guidelines associated once again with a 401k. So it's really difficult to think right now in your teens, 20s, 30s, or even 40s about, my gosh, retiring when you're close to 60 years old, but your later self will thank you if you make wise decisions now. And once again, you might think that that's really old when you're 59 and a half or 60. Relatively speaking, with our life expectancy that we have now and generally how medicine is advancing and overall people are taking better care of themselves, if you're able to retire at the age of 59 and a half, that would be a huge blessing. You'll still have the ability to do many fun things like travel, remain active, but you'll have the money necessary to be able to go and pursue those goals. Now, if you want to reach higher than that, if you want to retire earlier, I think that's a great approach to take. You still want to do what you can by investing into a 401k because you want to have that long term, but you also want to expedite that process maybe by investing into a Roth IRA. Once again, you cannot touch the money in a Roth IRA until you are 59 and a half either, but if you're doing that, once again, you're augmenting your overall income long term. Then if you do something different, like invest into just a normal account, maybe into an index fund through something like Wealthfront or Fidelity or another group of companies that offer this kind of service, you could touch that money much earlier, but you also need to be investing into it. And I think that is the most critical component that people get hung up on when it comes to trying to retire or even invest as a whole. We get caught up in percentages, we get caught up in what's happening in the stock market on a daily basis, but we don't do the most basic thing, which is actually putting money into our retirement accounts. So right now, if you're automatically enrolled, that is a great first step. Now what you want to do is take the second step and make sure that you're reaching a threshold where financially it's going to make sense and allow you to achieve your financial goals, and hopefully that includes retiring at a reasonable age. As it pertains to the savings rate, you might be asking yourself, is 15% or 20% enough? And I would say, once again, this is specific to your individual circumstances. 15% or 20% is much higher than the general savings rate that the general public has, but you want to be better than that. You don't necessarily just want to try and meet the bare minimum. If you can get up to 15 or 20%, I would say that is a great starting point. But once again, when it comes to your savings and your investing, you really want to think about how much income you're generating and look at increasing the amount that you're actually saving over time. Now, percentages are so much better to use than just dollars. So let's say over the course of your entire career, it's more than likely that you will receive raises and promotions and hopefully receive additional income. Now, if you just remain at the same savings amount that you put into your account on an annual basis, let's say you're hitting that $19,500 threshold, which would be a huge goal for many people to achieve, but let's say you're making 150 grand a year, that is relatively speaking a smaller percentage of your income, then you actually should be putting into it. So you shouldn't just max out your 401k, then you should open up a Roth IRA. And like I said, invest into groups of index funds, stuff that you understand that will grow over time and that has a history of performing at a reasonable rate of return, somewhere between 5 to 8%. And that's historically what the S&P 500 and the total stock market has actually done. So what you want to think about is how can you position yourself right now to be putting money aside to actually expedite the process by which you can retire. So if you actually can get up to higher savings rates, 20, 30, 40, 50%, you're actually going to have a much much better likelihood of achieving financial independence at an earlier age and having the freedom to go and pursue your goals and your dreams. I actually created a totally separate video about what savings goals you should reach by age. I'll put a link in the description. Feel free to check it out, and you'll understand even in greater detail how much money you can actually save on an annual basis to help you reach those goals. But most likely the thing that you're thinking about right now is that, Zach, how can I even just reach this ability to be able to put more money into my account? And this is where I would really strongly consider that you do everything you can to start framing your finances into a budget, into a holistic understanding of where your money needs to go. And then if you can use an automated system of having your money automatically deducted out of your paycheck into your 401k, then take some money, put it into your Roth IRA, then take additional money, put it into an investment account, and then have all of your other money go into your bills. Preferably you have paid off all of your debt so that way you don't have monthly expenses going to a car, a phone, anything significant outside of a mortgage, because really you do not want to be taking that debt with you over time. It's going to prevent you from hitting your goals. So those are just different things that you want to do, is try and set up an automated system. That way you can continue to move forward and pursue your dreams, because finances are a great thing. Money is not necessarily good nor bad. It's basically just a vehicle and a tool that you or I can use to have more freedom and more time. And then if you and I can position ourselves right now to make wise decisions in the present, it's going to help us not only in the present moment right now, but ultimately it's going to allow us to have a brighter future. So that's what I want all of you to have, because I did not learn these things younger in life. It took me a while to actually learn them and understand these concepts and principles, and now I'm so grateful that I do, because I believe it's very important for us to be financially wise stewards of our ability to actually move forward and achieve our financial goals. So once again, that is why I'm putting this out here, and I hope it is helpful for you. With all that being said, I'd like to thank you for watching the video today. If you wouldn't mind, please like the video. It would really help the channel out for the YouTube algorithm, help push this video to other people who might need to hear it. Because you might have a friend or a family member who has been enrolled into a 401k plan, but doesn't even understand what it is and tries to get a better understanding of that. This video hopefully will allow them to augment their savings rate and help them move forward financially. In addition, if you have any questions, please comment down below. I'd love to interact with you, get to know you, and do any research on your behalf to help you make wise financial decisions. If you wouldn't mind, please subscribe to the channel. That would mean a lot to myself personally, as it would help the channel grow on the YouTube algorithm, but most importantly, it would really mean a lot to myself as I do everything I can to create content that will make a positive impact in your life by encouraging you and myself to lead lives of meaning and purpose, all while maintaining balance and moderation. And if you do subscribe to the channel, please tap the notification bell. That will notify you every time I post a video, which I do on a weekly basis. Once again, I'd like to thank you for watching the video today. I look forward to talking to you next time. Have a great day.